The flight that never left. Last night, 7 asylum seekers were waiting on board to be sent to Rwanda. Instead, at the last moment, a judge in Strasbourg ruled that couldn't happen. One of the 7 driven away last night was an Iranian Kurd who arrived here last month by boat. He says escaping persecution. And he told us, through a translator, what it felt like when he realised he was being taken off the plane.
He says that it was like I was born again. And he said I wasn't sure if they were actually going to still take us, even though they took us out of the aeroplane. But when the aeroplane went and we were not inside it, I was crying of happiness. He thinks that this Rwanda flight will happen again, and they might even take him to Rwanda. So he says if that happens, if he hears the news, that will be the end of it. He will not be alive. He has to take his own life because he does not want to hear that again.
And the government says it will try again because this is an urgent problem.
We remain committed to this policy. These repeated legal barriers are, Madam Deputy Speaker, very similar to those that we experience with all other removal flights, and we believe that we are fully compliant with our domestic and international obligations, and preparations for our future flights and the next flights have already begun.
The opposition claims this is all about appearing to have an answer.
She knows this is unworkable, unethical, and won't stop the criminal gangs, but yet she still went ahead and spent £500,000 chartering a plane she never expected to fly.
The flight was stopped by a judge at the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. Britain still recognises the authority of the court as it's not connected to the EU and so was not affected by Brexit. Campaigners say that ruling should stop flights until at least next month.
The principle here that the European Court has thankfully agreed with is that these removals should not be taking place until the policy has been established as lawful and safe, which is still to happen in the judicial review hearings which are due in July. So that process needs to happen first.
This flight may not have left, but the government is preparing others, believing they will be cleared for takeoff.
Okay, let's join Andy now. He's at the Home Office for us tonight. And Andy, in response to this intervention, some Conservatives are calling for us to actually leave the Human Rights Convention. Is that something the government could actually do?
Well, that's right. A lot of Conservatives saying, look, why don't we just pull out of the European Convention on Human Rights? Then we would no longer have to listen to that judge or other judges in Strasbourg. I have to say, hearing from Downing Street today, while they were obviously saying we're going to look at this ruling in the round and see what are the problems that go along with it, I didn't get any impression from them that they actually wanted to take that step, which would be quite a drastic one, to pull out of the European Convention on Human Rights. This was set up in the 1950s. Britain was absolutely instrumental in setting it up. Winston Churchill was involved in setting it up, the idea being to put as solid a framework as possible on countries in Europe so that they would observe human rights after all the terrible things that had happened in World War II. So for now, it doesn't look as if the British government is going to take that drastic step. And if that is the case, and we're going to remain signed up to the European Convention, it does seem that the first point at which people could actually be put on a flight to Rwanda will be next month, when there will be a hearing on the judicial review into whether this whole policy is legal or not. Assuming that that is found to be legal, at that point, maybe people can get on a plane and be flown to Rwanda under this government policy.